Right, kia ora everybody. Just want to welcome everyone to our community committee meeting. And thanks to staff for being here as well. We'll start this meeting off with apologies. Oh yeah, I declare the meeting open, sorry, at 3:34. Okay, let's start the meeting off with apologies, and I have received apologies from Councillor Curnow and Francois Tupai. Would anyone like to move the apologies? Bill, thank you. And seconder? Linda, thank you. And all those in favour of accepting the apologies? And against? No one. Thank you. Draft recommendation 3.1. Oh, sorry, 2.1. It's missing. Oh, sorry, members' interest. Okay, that members disclose any financial or non-financial interest in any of the agenda items. So anyone, any questions, any discussion? Would somebody like to move that recommendation be accepted? Councillor Rutherford, seconder, Mayor Chris. All those in favour? And those against? It's carried. Thank you. Recommendation or 3.1 that the community committee receive and confirm the public minutes from 11th of March 2026. Is there any discussion around the minutes? I did have one thing I just wanted to check with Caitlin, and that was the revitalisation funding that we last voted would go back to full council for approval for it to be included in funding next year. I just wanted to know when it was expected to occur and if it was in process.
Through the chair, that will be coming to council as part of the annual plan adoption report, because it will need to be considered a carry forward, and also that the community committee is authorised to actually grant that money out as part of a funding round.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Any questions around that or any other comments? No. Can someone please move those minutes be accepted? Councillor Reynolds and seconder Councillor Hawes. All those in favour? Those against? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, so we've got draft recommendation 4.1 that the Creative Communities Subcommittee update dated 24th of June 2026 be received, and item 2 that the Community Committee recognise the formal appointment of Liz Kerslake to the Karamea Arts Council representation position on the Creative Communities Subcommittee. Do we, Rosie, would you like to comment on that? You'll move it?
It was nothing. It's just expectations and were discussed.
Okay.
We've kept them a great job. So.
Excellent. So are you moving items 1 and 2, Rosie? Sorry? Oh, no one else can do it. Okay. No, I think anyone can move.
You are correct, because everybody is on this committee.
Yeah. Rosie, so you're moving items 1 and 2. Okay, and seconder, Councillor Rutherford, or you've got a discussion? Yes, sorry. Well, yeah, okay, we've got a seconder, and now on to questions.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Look, I'm just keen to know 2 matters. 7, expression of interest for the subcommittee due to go July. So are the vacancies, or are these, my question is, are there people who are leaving the committee by rotation, or are the vacancies currently on the committee?
through the chair, or Caitlin is probably better versed to answer that. Did you want to, or happy to? Sure.
So through the chair, there are 11 spots on the Creative Community Subcommittee. It does have a slightly different set of rules and regulations that Creative New Zealand sets part of them as well in the agreement that we have with them. So 3 of those positions are for Arts Council representation, and they are all filled. And we have 2 positions for elected members, which are also filled. And we have 1, I believe. Yep, 1 community representative at the moment. So that actually leaves us 5 spots, 1 of which is from Māori representative on that committee. And the caveat being, if you have an interest in joining that committee, that you actually have an arts background or an arts focus to be able to be appointed to the Creative Community Subcommittee.
Thanks, so for clarification, that there are 4 community vacancies. That
Correct. And 1
Wow.
Māori
Wow,
representative.
wow.
And
Does
through
that
the
answer your
chair, they're due to be advertised sometime soon, aren't they? Yeah.
Look, I did have a second question, and that is, what is the total allocation now? Has it moved at all over the years, or roughly how much have you got?
Through the chair, it is, I can't recall the exact figure off the top of my head, it was around $21,000, of which 15% can be carried forward to the next financial year if the committee chooses to, and 10% can be used for advertising.
Excellent, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions or discussion? No? Cool, in that case, can we please vote on that? All those in favour of draft recommendations 1 and 2? And those against? Nobody carried. Thank you. So on to draft recommendation 4.2, Reserve and Hull Subcommittee update. That the Reserve and Hull Subcommittee update dated 24th of June 2026 be received. Who is, Shelley, are you speaking to this? Or Jack?
Through the chair, I can, but Jack is also here to assist.
Would you like to speak to it?
So the subcommittee update is an overview of what has been occurring in the through the subcommittee liaison officer, and he's more than happy to answer any of the questions that you may have. The report initially included an overview of some of the documents that have been created, but we have set that as a standalone agenda item to clarify what those documents are for, and so that they can be discussed separately.
Cool. I have a question, Jack, just on the reserve management plan, the community consultation. Have you been involved in that?
I've been slightly involved with it.
Have you been to any of the meetings?
Yes, so I went to the Northern Buller information session in absence of Miro just to support Brent. But I was primarily speaking on the health and safety aspect of things as opposed to the reserves management plan as a whole.
And what's the engagement been like?
Engagement plan, from what I've seen, it's fairly comprehensive, as Miro is usually quite astute with the engagement plans, and from what I've seen from the turnout of the information session, it was relatively well received. So I'd say that the engagement plan is functioning quite well.
Okay. Yeah, questions, Phil?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, my question is related to activities behind the scenes. It was been mentioned at a previous meeting here that one of the subcommittees has requested of council to go back and look at leases and expired leases and have them reviewed as a funding source. I don't see any reference to that in this update, so just wondering where that is sitting at the moment.
Well, are you referring to Carter speech leases? Because Jack, has anything happened around that?
So that's currently sitting with the property team. And I haven't heard any further update on where the licensed occupiers and the renewal or overseeing those LTOs, what it looks like at the moment.
I guess can we please ensure that we have an update from the property team on that for our next meeting? Do you want anything before that, Phil?
Well, I mean, I guess, look, it's, it's a potential lost revenue opportunity for the council as a whole, and particularly the subcommittee that benefits from it. It's disappointing if it's sliding by and we're missing out on income. So the sooner the better.
Yeah, I think we'll add it as an action point, and I will speak to Councillor Curnow, who's the representative on that committee, and get him to follow up with Jack and the property team on that, on the lease. Any other questions? Would someone like to move that we move the draft recommendation that the Reserve and Hall Subcommittee update dated 24th of June 2026 be received? Tiny, and seconder, Rosalie. Any further discussion? All those in favour? Against? And that's carried. Item 4.3, Reserve and Hall Subcommittee documents. There's 5 recommendations here and I think we'll go through each one of them separate. So the first recommendation, that the committee approve the subcommittee handbook document. I just want to make a comment on this before I put it out for questions. There was a lot of work went into this document, and this document came as a request from some of our subcommittees to actually provide some form of consistent communications and information from council. And it's Councillor O'Keefe and myself and Councillor Hawes have spent a lot of time working with staff on producing the handbook. We have had some comments that people think it's got too much information in it, but actually having just sat through a health and safety meeting, I think, I'm quite happy with it, but I'm happy to take questions. Colin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're going through each one of these individually. Okay. Through the chair, thanks, Jack, for the paper. Whatever I'm going to say, nothing against you, buddy. Okay, so it's not sorry against you. So just through the chair, I had some thoughts about the handbook, and having have it in my little hot hand. Very impressed with the handbook. And the only issue that I have is that this handbook will be updated as and when the need requires. Now, for me, it's like saying that documentation that we as elected members have to adhere to, they don't get updated every all the time. The reason why I'm saying this is that there's also a cost associated with this. Producing this and the colour ink and stuff like that, it might sound trivial, but over a period of time it soon adds up. So I'd like to see that this booklet is in force for at least a year, at least for 1 year before any amendments are made. Otherwise we're in a situation where this book's continually being updated and I don't see version V1 on here at the moment. We could end up with 10 or 11. So I'd just like this to be that book for at least 1 year, please. Well done. Okay.
Okay, I'll just go to Councillor O'Keefe. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. So we've also been reading through it. Shane and I had a look through it again at the agenda because a few things, again, just a few little tweaks on it around being more inclusive and wording. But ultimately, this isn't meant to be a hard copy. Well, it is, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create a tool and for also to attach to this handbook at the end of it. Caitlin and staff have tried to create like a bit of an open public folder, so then people can access documents and templates, terms of reference, anything relating to subcommittee. So it really is kind of designed to be like a live online doc. But I'm saying, yeah, once you print it off, that is a hard copy that's published. Yeah, so I can hear what you're saying.
I just, before I go to, Mayor Chris, there will be a SharePoint site created that all of these documents sit on, Colin, and so that, they will be online, but I hear what you're saying as well. We can't be constantly tapping stuff on the shoulder to make changes. So I'll take that on board. Chris, did you?
You haven't said that, pick up on comments,
Microphone, Chris.
picking up on Colin's, comments. I mean, you know, no document or procedure should be set in stone, in my view, for a year. You know, things will arise that, the community committee will discuss. And if they choose to make a change and notify those people who will be affected, then, you know, that should occur, particularly after listening through the health and safety. If it's a health and safety issue, then you don't want that to wait until next year when you reissue something. And, you know, so long as you've got picking up, you know, a version and a date on it, and people are notified, it should be their responsibility, to keep up to date.
On that note, I take on board your comment around the version and there being no version, and I think that we should have versions, numbers on the document, on all of those documents that we're looking at.
And a date.
And a date, yes. Sorry, sorry, Rosalie, and then back to Colin.
Oh, okay, having been involved with committees and some very stable committees for a long time, haven't been impressed with having a rule book. And that's fine because we're stable, we know where we're going, we think we do, and you don't want to be told otherwise if it's operating successfully without any issues. But also a comment has been made that it's thou shalt and thou shalt do 1 month's notice and public forum not being provided, and but it's nothing what the council are going to do. This is all what the committee shall do and shall not do, and it's nothing coming back on what the council are going to do for these committees. So that's my comment, that yeah, I just find it's a little bit overzealous, as I said to you before. And all right for those that want it, but there's probably 1 or 2 committees might take a lot of notice.
I guess my comment is we're trying to create consistency, and so it will be a handbook for all subcommittees. Colin, did you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only reason why I commented on the way I have, there are some items in here, Madam Chair, that we'll be discussing, and recommendations 2, 3 and so on. The reason why I just said about this in hard copy is there are a lot of people like myself, when they enter a room or whatever, they give them one of these and they go home and read it. It is very, very difficult, even for me, having used computers since the 1990s, early, I might add, 1990s, that this here, very easy to read. When I was reading it on the agenda, you know, oh yeah, okay. This here hard copy, you're sitting in bed at night or on the toilet, you can have a quick read of it, done. So that's why I'm fully supportive, and the reason why I'm not in favour of it being updated every 5 minutes, because a hard copy like this, and you know, I can talk about the you know, something changing and what have you. All very well for Mr. Mayor to say that, but of course we've got standing orders, we've got code of conduct and stuff like that. They last for 3 years, Madam Chair. So you know, I'd expect to see some sort of faith in the document that's produced, and hopefully we members can stand by it. Thank you.
Just a point of order. When you say it's all very well for you, Mr. Mayor, I take offence to that. So if we can just watch the language, please, and show some respect, that would be very much appreciated.
Councillor Hawes.
Yeah, so I really appreciate Councillor Reedy's feedback on this book. I think that Colin has nailed it down absolutely, that when I first saw this today in print form, this really pinged out way more than anything you'll ever see on, like literally this is absolutely exceptional the way that it is, and Colin quite rightly identified that people, and particularly that we're dealing with in these subcommittee roles, having this to be able to take with them and actually have this physical reference is critical. I think having the written word is literally far better than anything you're ever going to get. Totally concur with what Colin said. And I just wanted to say, because I was a little concerned with the comments around the fact that, you know, some of these committees are operating fine and see outside interference in what we're doing. And I was deeply concerned coming back onto council after a 3-year gap, having left with a process that I understood was taking place around council reserves and subcommittees. And, you know, nearly 5 years after it was initiated, 4.5 years, coming back and finding that it hadn't moved a hell of a long way. And then today, when you overlay that with the health and safety that we've just been through, the discussions around what the implications are, you overlay that with the fact of what happened at Mount Maunganui and the way that this will come back on campgrounds. Hence my questions of the legal representative that gave us the outline, clearly states that there are implications around flooding or campgrounds alongside rivers, etc. We've got a couple of those, 3 of those, you know. So these things, you know, really are critical, that starts with things like this, that then enables us to put in place those controls around without being imposing on these people. These people are volunteers. We're trying as a subcommittee group, as representatives, to try and make it as easy and as encouraging for these people to do what they do, but also at the same time making sure that we cover all bases around health and safety from a council perspective. We do not want to add Mount Maunganui. That is the last thing as a council we can afford. So putting all of these things in place after these years, I highly thank staff members involved. I think that we've all worked cohesively as a group to get this sort of stuff over the line. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Keefe.
Yeah, I don't really see this as a rule book. I see this, you know, this is feedback from subcommittee members that actually requested a wee handbook when they join, just to help them with because even like you know, it's just that in inconsistency, some subcommittees are super familiar with the terms of reference and how things are delegated and all that, and some really aren't. And if you have like quite a high turnover of memberships and chairs, because there's not one sort of like kind of sort, I mean, terms of reference is pretty dry, you know, and then even then there's that not very deep understanding of it. So it's just a helpful tool for and like you can take it or leave it, I suppose, at the end of the day, but it's just that there for them. And I just think if you're going to help them in any way, and also too, like I think we're going to sort of approve small, just small edits, just like it's not huge. I mean, all this is from the terms of reference and standing orders anyway, so it's just a more layman's version. Yeah.
Councillor Chris.
Yes.
Oh, Councillor Chris, yeah, Chris.
I've been demoted.
I've demoted you.
She's got the chair. I'd just like to say, I think it's very, very good work. And if I was looking to stand as a subcommittee member, it gives you something to actually understand what your role, you know, is going to be going forward. You know, so from that point of view, I think it's very good, and call it a guideline or call it rules or whatever. You know, I think that anybody contemplating standing, you know, should be given a copy before they put their submission in. But what has there been in the past by comparison? Nothing. Okay. Okay, well, it's very good to see that all of this work's been done and we've got something on the table, and then no doubt it'll be tweaked from time to time.
I'll just take questions or comments from Councillor Sampson and then Linda, and then I'll get someone to move it.
I just had a question. There's nothing in there. So you talk about onboarding people and off, you know, whether they leave, but it doesn't actually talk about in the handbook, like the term, like how long people are on there. You know, like once it doesn't actually say, because I know we've changed, you know, everybody at the end of the triennium, you know, came off the subcommittee, then we had to re-elect it once we got the new, but it doesn't actually talk about in here, once you're on there, how long you on there for, what's your term, is there a term?
Well, there, take that on board. but
Yeah, it doesn't actually say
Yeah,
in there,
There
right,
is
how
no
long.
term, and I think that maybe needs to be mentioned in the document, that there is no term, and in fact, it's, you can resign now because we don't make our subcommittee stand down at the end of an election.
Yeah.
They can
'Cause-
resign when they want to.
Because my other worry is, because there is no term, so, you know, some subcommittees can get down to a few three members, and then in this onboarding thing, you know, in order to then for members to join the subcommittee, then it's up to those three people to vote you on, kind of thing. So you could get into a situation which has happened in the past in different committees, you know, where there's a group of people kind of running it and not letting anybody else on it, you know, because we've got different people in the community that then they say, you know, how is that managed? I know it says here they've got to have reasons. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
do.
because there's nothing in there saying that you can't mitigate some of those situations where a whole lot of people leave the subcommittee because they're upset about something, leaving some members, and then other people can't get on, which happens. So
But I
Yeah.
think, I hear that, but I think what was happening before is after an election, we were asking for expressions of interest.
yeah, we were.
Yeah,
So
and I think that where there are gaps in committees, that's maybe what we should be doing anyway.
yeah.
Publicly asking for expressions of interest. and
Because before they were appointed
Yeah.
by, you know, like Rosalie, remember, you know, there was people put their expressions of interest and it came to the councillor, you know, in charge of the subcommittees, and then that person decided, you know, if there were 20 people, they decided which 10, you know, which happened on the Middleware Springs Junction, there was oversubscribed, more than 10, and then the councillors decided who was going to get on. So I guess there's nothing in there
Yeah, so-
about that.
yeah, and Caitlin has just said to me, they are asking for expressions of interest when they advertise for the community, for the Creative Communities Committee, but I think we need to put in there that we will ask for expressions of interest at least once a year.
Yeah.
I think that needs to go in the handbook somewhere.
And just about the terms, once you're on forever unless you resign, I guess, or you're off-boarded in one of the ways that is.
Yeah, okay,
Just,
yes,
through the chair, there is two ways. So if council doesn't resolve at the end of the triennium to disestablish the subcommittees, then that's fine, it carries over. But if council does resolve to do that, then it would actually effectively take everybody off the subcommittees and we would have to go through
Yeah.
the process again. So it can go one of two ways depending on what the council of the time decides to do.
I guess it just needs to be in there how long you're on once you sign up, you know. And then another thing in there, you know, we've had in Ngahua, you know, people have moved out of the area and they haven't actually formally resigned. Do you know what I mean? So something on there that I don't know, that the chair's noting, you know, if someone hasn't turned up for 3 meetings, that they inquire, you know, is that
Yep.
person still on the subcommittee? I don't know.
yeah, excellent ideas. Councillor Sampson, did you have something?
Yes, and I just concur with what Linda said, because that's exactly what happened. And the subcommittees I've talked about have been old established ones. Some drop off because they move away or die, and other people are put on. So as far as rules go, they pick up from one another. And yes, we did, after the annual, that everybody dropped off. We had a form like this and it went down like a lead balloon because, and nobody even applied. It got to the point that somebody on the committee had to fill out forms for them because they did not want to say why they wanted to be on the subcommittee and, well, fill out their relevant skills, etc. Because it was sounding a wee bit blowhard. I can do this or I can do that. So that did not go down well at all. So names were just put forward and that's what happened. So, but as the time and just everything that Linda said is correct. But, and they're fully subscribed, they're oversubscribed, and what people chose who would go on and who would stay as friends of the whole, or the group, because we had more than the 10 or 11 people required.
Councillor Hawes?
I guess for me, the discussion raises the question around, you know, how does a community change direction? If we've got representation that just goes on forever.
Yeah.
Then we've got control that goes on forever, and a community changes. People move in, people move out. An old group of people may have some view around using that site that doesn't have any relevance to the current population. So I think that what it does raise the discussion for me is that how does a community influence change? Normal practice is that your representation is voted on at an AGM. That's what happens with most committees that operate various things, like community committees I'm on. AGM sets the officers and votes the officers. Is there any views around here whether we shouldn't? I feel that if we're going down this path, then we're actually setting something in stone and not allowing flexibility. So, my view.
Councillor O'Keefe?
Sorry, that's this kind of, that's what's in the terms of reference, but then also in the terms of reference, it says that anybody can be nominated by 2 members of the public. So it means that, and that's happened, that I've seen, that haven't been a member at all of the subcommittee as long as they live in the area. So that's another way that nepotism can be broken, I suppose.
Okay, I'd like to move that we approve the subcommittee handbook document with some minor additions. So I think we need some minor additions around the expressions of interest that will advertise once a year. And that will depend on the decisions around whether subcommittees are stood down after triennial elections. And also we'll take recommendations from chairs if people have left the area and not notified or not resigned formally. So if everybody will vote on it anyway, but with those minor changes, if anyone's, Colin, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. The booklet, as I said before, good stuff, but we're soon includes items that we're going to come up in number 2 and number 3. So
Yes. Yeah.
are we agreeing to the content
So-
or the objective of the book?
Okay, I
Please.
think that we agree to the content, but the documents that are in the next 4 items are only added if they're passed. If not, they are removed if they're not passed by the committee. Is that okay with you? Yep. Okay, so would anyone like to second that motion? Councillor Hawes? Okay, all those in favour of draft recommendation 1 with the changes, minor changes? Those against? Councillor Sampson. So draft recommendation 2, that the subcommittee approves the subcommittee onboarding and offboarding process. Does anybody have any questions? Phil?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I have a couple. Could have we found other terminology? We're not getting on and off a train here. A lot of people have got no idea what onboarding means. But more important question is I don't really understand the community committee panel. And is that we ever resolved how a community committee panel is formed? I see the suggestion is the chair, deputy chair, and the elected member appointed to the subcommittee. So tell me how this document proposes to form that panel, and who the elected member appointed is going to be, how that's going to be made.
The elected member, well, one comment, there is an elected member appointed to every reserve subcommittee. That's already done.
No, this is not the, sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
This is the community committee panel.
Can you just tell me where it is? What page?
Step C, page 27.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it should be up in B, subcommittee recommendation. That it goes to, and it is the subcommittee, council representative. That is who it's referring to, but I think it needs to be actually clearer that that's what it is. And as for the panel, I guess, we don't want this to come back full committee, so the decision was made, well, when we did the document, that it would just come from the subcommittee representative, which is the councillor who represents that reserve subcommittee, the chair of this committee, and who's the other one? Sorry, deputy chair. But that's up for discussion. That's, this is a document. Yeah, Linda.
So is that referring the community committee panel, meaning like you as the chair of this
Yes.
committee,
Yeah.
or not the chair of the subcommittee?
Yeah, no, the
Oh,
chair
okay.
of this committee. So it's obviously not clear enough.
Yeah,
So
I thought it
think-
meant the chair of the subcommittee, a deputy, and then the elected member on it.
Yeah, so I think it needs to be a whole lot clearer. So can you have deputy chair? Yeah, the recommendation is then forwarded to the community committee panel, which is the chair, but it only says chair, deputy chair, elected member, and group manager, community services. So it's not clear. It should be chair of the community committee, deputy chair of the community committee. Yeah. But that, that is up for discussion as well. And as is everything in this document. So if we find that there is too much in this document that needs to be changed, then we can bring it back. Councillor Rutherford, do you?
Yeah, look, I think on that understanding, so the elected member is the elected member of the subcommittee that the application is being considered for.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
I do say that that's actually not clear in there.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
okay.
Any further questions? Rosalie?
I just want to I'd be voting against because of that application form as to, on page 29, stating relevant skills and do you believe you contribute to the community? Yeah, it's
What,
No.
are you recommending that there is less in it, or what are you
It
recommending?
just that when you're expecting volunteers to turn around and put detail why you should be there as a volunteer. I just don't know. Well, the experience, I'm probably talking from experience. It doesn't go down. And you want to be on, and it's got in your handbook to say that you're nominated by 2 people. And then you're voted on, whatever. And it just going back to what was said earlier about the same old people there. Well, in the 2 subcommittees within my area, it's been new people to the district. Probably a third of the committee has rolled over with new people within the community. So I haven't experienced that, but they haven't had to go through this. But like what was said earlier, when we did have a form similar to this, it didn't go down well.
Can I just ask how your new people do become members then?
They show an interest in the community activities like the reserve board in Karamea, with rugby or the bowling club. And we had 3 people resign, 2 people resign and 1 pass away. And we had some vacancies and we had 4 people put their hands up that were new to the community within the last 5 years.
Okay.
And Little Wanganui, exactly the same because they've got a very, very active group there. And I think we had 17 people wanting to be there.
I'll just, councillor Reedy and then, councillor Webb.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Two things if I can, please. One, I forgot to, when we looked at recommendation one, I forgot to ask the question whether or not this committee has the authority to approve documents such as this. So I'd just like to put that on the table now, please. But also, I have my concerns about this onboarding and offboarding. At one stage here, we were congratulating and thankful for the efforts that these volunteers put into looking after the reserves and the halls and what have you. And yet here we are putting these 4 documents out. And for me at the moment, Madam Chair, sure, we've got the congratulations and the thanks, but I see us being them being shackled. And I have grave concerns, to be honest with you, about the impact it could have on people wanting to board the train or board the plane or whatever, and then get off at the other end. So I just want that noted, please. But if we can just look at the authority as well, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caitlin, I'll just refer to Caitlin on the authority.
So yes, under the common delegations and the terms of reference, which every committee of council has, this committee does have the authority to make decisions on operational matters that fall within this committee's area of responsibility. In this case, reserve and hall subcommittees are the community committee's area of responsibility.
Colin?
Madam Chair, which number, please? Which whereabouts in the common delegations are you referring?
It's under other, which is at the bottom of the document, and it's number 2.
Can I just, with respect, just comment that if it's outside of the delegations of the chief executive and other council officers, why would a committee be able to consider and make decisions on operational matters? I'm just asking the question. I mean, if the or committee in this instance. I'm just putting it out there. That's all, Caitlin.
Well, then number 1 says that we can consider and make decisions which are within the chief executive's delegations. So I think we have the ability to make these decisions. I might just refer to Simon for a minute.
Yes, so Caitlin and I talked about this earlier, so yes, the committee can make these decisions, and that's my reading of the standing orders as well, of the terms of reference.
Colin, are you happy with that, or are you still thinking of mulling it over?
Madam Chair, I'll go with the, I mean, if it's allowed and the table are going to vote, then so be it.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Webb?
I just wondered under the record keeping, whether we need to add there that, I don't know, a time frame that the subcommittee liaison officer might check in every 6 months or whatever the time you think, or yearly, to update the membership, I guess, because I know that's been a hard thing with us at Ngangahua. Like, we're down to 3 people, but I haven't seen any resignations come through. Like, people just leave by, they've got a group chat sort of thing and saying, oh, I'm resigning, like, see you later, and that's not fed back. So I wonder whether just as a staff thing, like whether the liaison officer checks in, I don't know how however often, just to go, right, can you just let me know who's still on your subcommittee, so that records are kept up to date.
Yeah. Jack, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so at present, prior to thank you. So at present, prior to these community committee meetings taking place, I send an email out to all subcommittees to ask for any membership updates. So that currently already is taking place.
And have you got updated for Ngangahua? There's my worry, like, I know there's only
Well-
3 left.
So I can only work with the information that's
Yeah.
relayed back to me. But there have been multiple follow-ups made as well to ensure
Yeah.
that chairs are providing that information prior to me setting these updates.
Jack, are you doing monthly contacts with subcommittees at the moment? Is that what's happening, or bi-monthly? Like, what is happening at the moment?
So there's no formal setup in place. I mean, typically I am touching all subcommittees on a monthly basis just due to the nature of subcommittees and the work I do. But there is no formal touch base with subcommittees on a monthly basis. I'd say that's something that I've spoken with Chrissy about as well, and how we structure moving forward with having those pre-planned catch-ups with subcommittees. So I think based off previous conversations, we're looking at around 6 months.
Yeah, okay. I think an email contact, even bi-monthly, just touching base, like I would like to think that happens as just a touching base with chairs of subcommittees, and at that time just asking if there have been any changes.
So there is a monthly email update
Yeah,
that
so
goes
I
out.
think-
So
Yeah,
yeah.
when you do that, it would be useful to just say if has there been any, I don't want to say onboarding and offboarding, because my comment around that is both when we discussed it, we wanted it to be joining and leaving a subcommittee. And I think from the feeling around the table, I think that's what it should be, is joining and leaving a subcommittee. It makes it really clear what it is. So I would, if we decide to put this document through, I would like the name changed to joining and leaving a subcommittee. And then Jack, if you're just, when you send out your monthly email, if you're just checking whether there's been any changes, anybody leaving a subcommittee, because then we've got an idea of if we've had mass people leaving an area or whatever, we've got an idea of what the need is for expressions of interest as well.
I'm happy to include that in my monthly updates. That's no problem.
Oh, okay, so, Councillor Horst, did you have something to say? No?
Oh, I just totally agree with everybody, onboarding, offboarding, and I totally agree with the comments around the table. I think everybody's on the money.
Councillor Reynolds?
Knowledge is power, and anything that conveys knowledge is worthwhile. So the document is good, but not the gloss. This council's got to start aiming at economy. Printing it costs more than gold, even though it's risen rather significantly lately. And the colour to me distracts from reading the text. And it's not only that coloured ink costs more than gold, it also costs more than caviar. And certainly caviar is not on the menu of our local rate.
Let's talk about it.
I'm talking about the
Joining and leaving a subcommittee?
wording within the glossy document, isn't it?
No,
It's not.
no.
Oh, well, it's just a general comment,
No.
but
And just to comment too, that these will be online, these will be editable Word documents that people can complete online.
yeah, that's
as well.
another must, but because it gets back to lots of other council documents that are glossy, that you cut and paste and it costs a fortune in printers if you print them out yourself.
Yeah.
So not the wording in here particularly, but in the main document. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hanson, sorry, did you have something?
Basically, so if I ever get the privilege or responsibility of being on a committee of this nature, I would have a dog-eared copy of this publication in my pocket at all times, and it would be full colour, because I like colour. I appreciate it, makes it easy to read. And I would have it in all through it with any amendments or any points or any issues. So I think it's a great document. And I think the way it's presented is also great, and I would use it.
Okay, sorry, yes, sorry.
Sorry.
Go.
And my point connecting this specific one is there's a saying that bureaucracy kills democracy. And my advice would be, don't be too prescriptive or authoritarian in these documents. It's a handbook, it's for guidance, and that's the way we should view it. If we try and get 100% right, we'll fail every time. So
thoroughly support the document. I thoroughly support all the additives and, we can refine them and get them right and review them. But we just need to keep in mind that it is for guidance and it's not an authoritarian. If you don't abide by it, you're not going to get your funding disallowed or you're not going to get any legal punitive action taken against you. So I think it's a great document, all for it, all for the amendments as well, noting that it's guidance and they can be changed and amended. Thanks.
Okay, I would like to move draft recommendation 2 with the changes in the naming of the document. I would like it to be joining and leaving a subcommittee and also include some clearer information around the panel that we put that in there as well. And do we have a seconder? Okay, Mayor. Yes. Is there any further discussion? Colin?
Madam Chair, as I said before, I'm struggling to, I will be struggling, I am now, supporting number 2. I don't believe, if anything, it should just be a couple of paragraphs in our little booklet here about, just the process if you want to join, if you want to leave. That there is what's proposed. It's very descriptive. In fact, it's not even descriptive, it's prescriptive. And for me, you've got the whip out, as I've saying before, and I believe it should just be down to a couple of paragraphs in our subcommittee handbook, rather than being a separate document of its own right.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay, any other discussion? No. Okay, so let's vote now. All those in favour of recommendation 2, approving the subcommittee joining and leaving process with the changes as recommended. Those against?
And please.
Did you want yours recorded? Oh, let's move on. So draft recommendation 3 and agenda item 4.3, which is approve the subcommittee misconduct process. Does anyone have any questions on this? Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question, not discussion at the moment. Thank you, Madam Chair. And that is, I assume there's been some legal advice obtained in the staff's ability to be able to move the code of conduct and standing orders down to a subcommittee level. And subcommittee level, of course, when we know that the code of conduct and, sorry, this is putting some context around it, the code of conduct and the standard orders is a requirement of the Local Government Act, and the Local Government Act refers to elected members. Elected members are defined, and I'm afraid to say that one could say, oh, subcommittee members are elected, they're appointed. I don't care if someone puts their name forward. To me, they're not elected. They haven't been elected under the Local Government Election Act or Elected Act, whatever it's called, which is what is specific in the Local Government Act. So one has to say, well, if we're going to put these on here, Madam Chair, what is the authority behind the being allowed to have this within this document, please?
Yeah, they are referred to in their terms of reference and have been for a long time as well, like before now. So I presume that but I'm not sure around the legality of it, whether they can be included in their terms of reference.
If they are in the terms of reference, I would assume that it's through a motion that has been put and passed by a previous council. Would that be correct?
I actually am going to. Do you have any comment on that, Simon, or not?
I don't. Sorry, I don't know. Kaylin, can you add anything?
This current council adopted the terms of reference for the subcommittees.
So
which is included. It's under. Let me bring it up. Yeah, conduct of affairs. The subcommittee shall conduct its affairs in accordance with the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, the Local Government Authorities Members Interest Act 1968, and Council's standing orders and code of conduct.
Sorry, can I just ask, that's in the new documents or in the,
That's in the terms of reference that were adopted at the start of the triennium for reserve and hall subcommittees.
or all subcommittees?
For reserve and hall subcommittees, and also for the Knockall Hector
Okay,
subcommittee, which has its own terms of reference.
Councillor Sampson?
On page 34, number 8, it's got failure to engage constructively, such as persistent non-attendance, which is quite acceptable, refusal to participate in required induction and training. So what does that mean, please?
Well, I presume, and that is going through the handbook and health and safety training or health and safety, information that's coming out, that if you don't do it, then, I guess you're putting council at risk by not doing it. And so, you won't be able to be on a reserve subcommittee.
So you're suggesting that we're going to have induction training for all our subcommittees?
Well, most of our chairs do induction. I don't know if your chairs don't. I certainly do at Carter's Beach. I don't, I would like to refer to, the other subcommittees. We definitely did at Carter's Beach as chair, and actually the secretary did the inductions. We did health and safety inductions, and we did just our processes workshops. We went through it all. Councillor O'Keefe?
No, we've never had any formal inductions, but I would like to say that if you're joining this subcommittee, you are a subcommittee of council, and you are meant to read the terms of reference, and most of that stuff's in here. So that's meant that you should at least, or even assist somebody that can't read. The chair should be helping them understand their responsibilities.
So no, what I'm trying to get at, are we going to run induction for training? Where is it going to be held? And the imposition of people having to travel a distance to have those training sessions to attend.
One, I just want to refer around the health and safety stuff, the induction. Is there an induction process being worked on around that, Jack?
There's an induction process. There's an induction process being worked on at the moment, so there's no standing induction process currently, but it is being worked on.
Is it purely health and safety?
There is an induction process for subcommittees as well, so these are two separate processes. So the health and safety side has been worked on, and I am just about to start the development of a subcommittee induction process. So that covers members and role holders as well.
I just wonder if it needs to be clearer in this document then, because I think that an induction is an induction with your chair and your subcommittee. It's not about coming into here to go through an induction unless there is a requirement from staff with health and safety as that gets developed. And I think it can be clarified a little bit better in this document.
Well, while I'm happy with this misconduct,
Yeah.
good, and I am being pedantic, but to have something in there that we haven't got and been able to do, and like I say, where will it be held? Will it be brought to our areas, or will they be expected at their own cost to come to a training
I
program?
don't think anyone will be expected to come in to a training program. I just, Councillor O'Keefe.
So, you know, there is that subcommittees have a councillor appointed to them
Yeah.
for governance oversight. We've also got higher governance oversight. And also to, I mean, Shane actually mentioned that back in the day, Carter's Beach used to have a little wee video that they used to watch for all new members, which could sort of help as well, people that are not told to read stuff and don't like forms and that sort of stuff. I mean, that's what we suggested to Jack and the team is create a user-friendly 2-minute video that people can just actually watch and it's done, and then watch it in a group as well, so it's not like an individual little pain in the bum. Yeah,
Sorry, Mayor, Chris.
Yeah, I think we're getting bogged down in a lot of detail here, and I think that the word induction is the right word to use if you've got somebody coming in, and that induction should cover off all of those things that I've read in that booklet. When it comes to what Shane's talking about, I think what they used to do at Carter's Beach, between the chair and somebody new coming in, that's a briefing. But the idea, I think, of bringing Councillor Hawes in at that sort of level, you know, above the community boards, was to get some regularity and some commonality, you know, between all of the different subcommittees, you know, where you had standard things like health and safety and maybe other requirements too, which we expected all committees to actually comply with as a minimum, and not to go off and do their own things or make decisions in their own right, without, you know, that being formalised and agreed.
I'm just speaking to Caitlin about the wording. What we think we should do is change it to a site-specific induction, because each reserve is different needs as well, and carried out by the chair and with council support, whether that be through governance, health and safety. So that's where we change that wording in it. Councillor Hawes?
Yeah, and just touching back on what Jack, we have been working on this health and safety document that we've had a draft out that has, you know, I've provided feedback, and this isn't around help. The fact that these subcommittees exist is a by thing. We heard today what our responsibilities are across the broad spectrum of people that work within our health reserves, etc., right down to the public that use these reserves. So there's multi levels of responsibility, and what happens if we don't get it right is that the ratepayer pays. You heard that. You heard that there's penalties right up to chief executive going to jail or being severely fined. These are things that as governors, our responsibility is to try and make sure that we've covered off, and that across the district we're applying the same rules. Because if we're not applying the same rules across the district, we haven't got any defence whatsoever in a court of law when things go wrong. So, you know, it was about making sure that from a governance level down, we've provided these people with the tools and equipment to perform the tasks that they do. This is nothing about us telling them what to do. This is about providing assurance to the people that we represent, we've been voted here to represent, that we're not putting at risk their money. So, you know, we will have that health and safety document done. It will outline all of these things. It will roll into a process around about how the inductions are done. And this is not a different process to anywhere else that operates in the same space. If you want to work as a volunteer on the dock estate, you go through the same process. You want to work as a volunteer in any other organisation now, you go through the same process. We're just making sure that we're complying and we're completely up to date.
Right, I'd like to move a draft recommendation 3 that we approve the subcommittee misconduct process with the amendments to the induction as per discussed. Do we have a seconder? Mayor Chris, any more discussion? Councillor?
Very briefly, I note that this document also includes references to onboarding and offboarding, which would need to be including the graphic.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks,
Yeah.
we'll note that as well. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favour? Those against?
Please.
Okay, that's carried. Thank you, and moving on to draft recommendation 4 that we approve the subcommittee workshop template. The reason we created this document was because we need some uniformity with minutes. We want them sent through to Jack. The action points we think are important to have on there so that when these sent through to Jack, that the action points can be recorded off there and put into some form of action template so that we know they're not getting lost in the ether. So it was really to create some consistency around reporting. Any questions, Colin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In terms of workshops and a brief note, that's come out through the Ombudsman's Open for Business. And does this council, when we sit here and have workshops, do we keep notes on that? And do elected members see those notes? Because that's what it's come from, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
But through the chair, no, per the standing orders with workshops that we do, because the subcommittees don't have the capacity to live stream their workshops or record them in any way, they take notes for their workshops. We provide material for the workshops, which is available to all elected members, but we either live stream them or have them recorded if they are behind closed doors. That provides the record that we need if we need to refer to it.
With respect, you'll see that the standing orders does say that a note is to be taken. If you look at the bottom of that particular standing order, it's not the fact that it's not live to view. There's also just like minutes, okay, just like the minutes coming through. But these are the Ombudsman Open for Business said, and it's in our notes there. I'm happy to be corrected. Thanks, Caitlin. But at the bottom it says a note will be taken.
A note will, sorry, can you just clarify that, Colin, for me? A note will be taken, what are you referring to?
About the contents of the workshop. It's in the standing orders. Can I?
So,
at the bottom.
so that is what this document is. It's to record notes from workshops.
So my question was, if you're expecting the subcommittees to do this,
This is not, the subcommittees have actually asked for this. They do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just asking. Does the same apply to council, full council workshops?
Correct. Yeah. So that's an item opposite issue right now. With council, and we get on with.
I just want to, Caitlin has an answer, I think.
Yes, so under the standing orders, a written record of the workshop should be kept and include time, date, location, duration of workshop, persons present and general subject matter covered. And yes, we do. We have workshop requisitions that are completed by anybody who wishes to host a workshop that are stored internally. So we do have those records.
And they are, of course, on Harbour anyway. Anything presented at workshops, all that information is on Harbour.
Councillor O'Keefe.
I think the difference is too with subcommittees, they have like what financial delegation within the terms of reference, and it's really difficult because you can't actually vote or make decisions, but you're actually operational as well on these committees. So having that action list, acting within your delegations, it kind of keeps things a bit tidier and helpful for the subs.
Councillor Sampson.
It's just made me triggered another thought. The fact that we only have one official meeting a year for subcommittees, everything else is workshops, and rightly you just said decisions cannot be made at workshops. So is it only once a year that our subcommittees can make decisions? Because this is what I keep hearing. We cannot make decisions at workshops.
They can make decisions within their delegated authority, which is to spend money on maintenance, and that's in their terms of reference.
Okay.
Yeah. Councillor Rutherford.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I don't think you've done so, but I want to move 4 and 5.
Yeah, I'll in 5.
Yeah, I'll see.
Councillor Rutherford.
We want to vote on them separately.
And not unless somebody wants to. So seconded by Mayor Chris. Any further discussion on, so we've moved draft recommendations 4, approve the subcommittee workshop template, and 5, notes that these documents are all live working documents that will have minor amendments made as require. I think on there we should note that the documents have versions, not virgins, and dates. But if there are only minor amendments, I think taking Colin's comments into account that they should be reviewed 6 monthly. Annually? Sorry, yes, Mayor Chris. Yeah, microphone,
Councillor Rutherford has moved 4 and 5.
yeah,
I've seconded it.
Yeah.
And 5 talked about the documents are all live working documents that will have minor amendments made as required, not 6 monthly, not 12
Okay.
monthly.
we'll vote on that. We've also put in the minutes of our inversion control. Version. Councillor O'Keefe.
Sorry to interrupt. So on that handbook, on the back, it's V1.
Okay,
And it's got a date and a year. So it already has a marked version. So
I think all of these documents need versions. Sorry. Okay, let's, if there's no further discussion, can we vote on it? All those in favour?
Are you voting 4 and 5?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 and 5. Against? Excellent. Thank you. That's carried. Bill. Last time I had, so let's move on to agenda item 4.4, community grants funding. So I'm going to move both of these draft recommendations unless people want to, oh, sorry, actually. So draft recommendation 1 is upon adoption of the 2026. Now, I know Councillor Reddy that you said it should be 2026, 2027 annual plan. So we will make that amendment to draft recommendation 1 that upon adoption of the 2026, 2027 annual plan by council, the community committee resolves to hold one funding round totaling $70,947.48 for the 2026-2027 financial year. Actually, we'll move these individually. So I would like to move that item 1. Would anyone want to second it? Councillor O'Keefe. Any questions or discussion? Councillor Reddy.
Question, please, and it's just for my edification. Previously, we've had 2. I'm just wondering why we are looking at just 1 this time round. That's
In discussions with staff, it was that the funding has been reduced and that we will probably get applications. We're going to, well, in the next item, you'll see it'll be advertised for quite a long time. We're likely to get over the allocated amount anyway. And do we need to go through 2 rounds for a smaller amount of funding? Yeah. Any other questions? Councillor Reynolds.
Just where how's that $70,947.48 come from? How's the figure arrived at?
Through the chair, so there was decision made in deliberation to allocate some of that funding. So I believe it was read on for budget advisory service.
Yeah.
So that brought that figure down from what was $80,000 in contestable grant to that figure you see there.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
Councillor Sampson.
Oh, it's only just a comment. We only had 1 round of funding community grants last year.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions, discussion? Okay, all those in favour of draft recommendation 1? Those against? Carried. Draft recommendation 2, the funding applications will open from 1st of July 2026 and close on 30th of October 2026, with the decision of funding being made at the December Community Committee meeting. Anyone have any questions around that? Councillor, no questions? Councillor Sampson.
By the, July, August, September, 3 months applications open for, seems an awfully long time to have applications open.
We decided that it would give people time to put them in, and actually it wasn't a bad thing to leave them open for that long and then consider them in December. Councillor Hawes, you might want to comment on it.
Yep, reducing it from two funding rounds, Colin correctly identified the fact that you know, we have people applying for various things. Some of those are related to seasonal things, etc. in terms of grants, things like you know, community events and all those sorts of stuff. And therefore, in the past, when we had a shorter time of having them open, we had two options. So we had 2.6 months apart. We thought that we needed to give people a chance for that to across the community that may be seasonally affected to have an input, and we figured that moving it to that particular point in time gave that option moving into summer, people thinking about their events and processes. So I think it's a good idea, and I support it 100%.
Well, yes, I hear what you're saying, but for those that have sat through grants a number of times, there is an increasing number of insurance grants, and yeah, they fall outside that area too. So just 3 months then was a long time.
Just to comment on that, like, I've talked to, well, actually I talked to Shelley about it, but also I'm going to talk to Chrissy about the actual format of how we assess our community grants. I think we need a better assessment process for it, and that's something I would like to work on over the next couple of months, so that because of those things, you know, that we need to look at our priorities for funding, and it's I'd like to look at it over the next couple of months and send it out to councillors before this next funding round is closed, so that we have a process of assessment that makes it clearer for all of us, and actually we set priorities from this committee as to what we should be funding. Yeah, Colin.
Sorry, so who will, when you say, Madam Chair, you'll be thinking about these things, considering them for funding and the like, who will be involved? Will you?
Well, I think what we'll probably do is the deputy chair, myself, and staff will do it. But then what we'll do is we'll send those, what we think out, rather than everybody having to do it from the start. We'll send out what we are thinking to the whole committee, then ask for comments back, and then adjust as per that, and hopefully come up with something finalised before we assess this funding round. If everyone is happy with that process. Councillor Hingston?
Yeah, I just had a question relating to the timing, and I know Big Dave, spoke to it, about, you know, for summer. My experience, and this may well differ from the community committees and subcommittees out there, is that if you get funding approved in December, you can't spend it until well into January, February next year. So I was just wondering, would there be any problem maybe bringing it forward to November so you could start the expensing of that funding after it's approved? Because remember, you don't know if you're going to get it
Well,
or
we
not.
don't have our next community committee meeting until December, so we'd have to change the date of that.
I'm putting it out there. I'm happy to be schooled or educated, but I've noted that whenever I had a budget that's subject to approval, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to get it or not, I can't hire contractors. I can't put things in motion until January, February, when they get back from their holidays. So I put it out there for consideration. I'm not hard over on.
I think though, Dave, that we've made it really clear there's 3 months, there's a community meeting, and I don't think it's going to stop people from applying. I don't think it will be a barrier to them applying. We thought about putting it at the beginning of the new year, but what we find is January, February, people are really busy at holiday time, and that's when these applications get missed. So
so there's still November.
Sorry?
It's still November. I mean, council, they come in on
We-
30th of October.
Yeah,
We're doing nothing over November.
we would have to change the date of our community committee meeting as well to then, and I'm not sure that if we can, but Councillor O'Keefe.
Our next community committee meeting's in September.
And then
Waterloo.
Yeah, and then
And then in
December. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, we certainly can't do it for September. We don't have the time to do this and assess it by September. We've got so much on our plates at the moment. So therefore we leave it open and consider it in our meeting in December, unless somebody wants to have a special meeting to consider community grants, which. But I hear what you're saying.
I don't know
Councillor
if
Reedy.
that's been moved yet, Madam Chair. I'm happy to move it.
Oh, it hasn't.
I'll
No.
move that, number 2, isn't it? Recommendation number 2 and with the dates. Because I hear where we are, constrained at the moment with quite a bit of workload.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Seconded, councillor Hawes. Any further discussion? All those in favour, I'd just like to know, councillor Webb has left the room. Do we need to wait for her to come back? Against? Okay, against, councillor Sampson, recorded. And. You want to vote on that?
Yeah.
You good there?
I'll put my whole body behind my vote.
That, well, that's us. Yeah, that's. So, I declare the meeting closed at 4:53. Thanks, everybody, for their input.
Good job.